So, welcome everyone. Today we're here to learn about early intervention services for children 0 to 5. Today we'll go over understanding early intervention services. Please stop me if I do acronyms. I'm going to try not to, but if I do, stop me or I'll have anybody who knows them, please put them down on the chat if I do, because I do want everybody to understand everything we are saying. So we'll talk about what early intervention is. We'll talk about the Early Start program and the IFSP. Let's get started with the individualized family service plan. We'll talk about who qualifies for an individualized education program and other services. That's when your kiddo approaches the age of 3. I'm not going to go too much in depth into the IEPP, just so you know. I'll just do a quick overview. Okay. And so I would like to note that the presentation for today was prepared for it's parent centered, was prepared for families. I know a lot of our students are professionals, but we do provide the family perspective at our Family Resource Center, Parents Helping Parents. So hopefully this is useful for you too. Um, and we just want you all to feel informed and empowered with information and understand that the voice of families is required under special education laws. They are a valuable part of the team to help make decisions for children because we're the experts in our children, right? So I encourage you to ask questions along the way as well. Have your voice heard from the beginning. Okay, here we go. So let's talk a little bit about acting early. So this is from the CDC and their program Learn the Signs, Act Early. Um, when there are concerns, right, we want everybody to act early. Don't wait. This is the message that the CDC is very clearly has very clear on their website and all the information they send out. And from experienced parents like us at Parents Helping Parents too of children's special needs, we know that early intervention is key and it can make a real difference for your child and you as well in the present and future of your family. So if your child is not meeting milestones or you are concerned about the way your child plays, learns, speaks, acts, moves, first things first, talk to your pediatrician as quickly as you can. If and anybody or your child's doctor or other care providers are concerned about your child's development, you can also ask to be connected with your state, in our case, in our county, early intervention program, to find out if your child can get other services to support their development. And so if your doctor is not able to connect you can reach out yourself. So that's an important place to start off. A doctor's referral is not needed for the early intervention program in the state of California. There's no requirement to diagnose. We'll talk about what the requirements are. But for the intake, any concern about development, reach out to the program and there.
So if you have questions or need support, you can also call us at PHP or your local Family Resource Center, and we can help you connect with the programs as well. So that I wanted to provide you the numbers for the Early Start number, it's Early Start Baby, and I'll give you the local numbers in a bit as well. There's also a link to the Early Start DDS website where you can find more information. And if your child is 3 or older, we suggest as a good practice to write a letter and deliver it to your local elementary school or any local public elementary school or your school district if you know where that is. And so I wanted to show you some tools to track your child's development. The CDC has made it easier for us with resources from Learn the Signs Act Early and it has a milestones tracker app, which is pretty cool. I can show you that in a little bit, but you can download it on Apple or Google, and it can really be a helpful tool to track development and help you prepare for a doctor's visit. It has a tool to help you keep notes. It has an easy way to share your information that you gather there. And you can also even take videos or pictures to share with your doctor at a later time and demonstrate your child's skills or their progress. So that is a good tool to have available. They also have what I really love, this milestones in action section on the website, which let's see if it works here to show you. Oh, a little bit down. It has the milestones and photos and videos by ages. And so it's a really cool if you have to, if you have any concerns about what a milestone may, they have the checklists here. But sometimes when you see, just a checklist, it's hard to know what does that look like, right? But it's a really cool way to kind of go down and see every single aspect important for development of a child, right? Does she or he calm down when spoken to or picked up? And yes, no, or not sure. So you can say not sure or not yet. So I like the options that they give here. And if you're not sure and want an example, you can go to the milestones in action and take a look at some videos that they've created for you of that milestone in action. So that's kind of a picture. And then it has, some of them have videos of what it looks like. Looking at your face, right? Seems to be happy. And a small short video of what.
He's a happy boy.
Right? Super short, super easy to follow. So check those out if you haven't, and we'll share with other families as well who may have concerns about their development and are looking into understanding what that looks like. Any questions up to here on tracking development and why it's important? I know we have some of those links are shared in the chat, so you can explore those cool resources from Learn the Science Act early. And
I
so
don't
now,
sorry, I don't see any questions.
thank you, Brenda. Okay, I'll keep going. So what is early intervention? Let's learn a little bit about early intervention and the story of Max. So early intervention is the term used to describe the services and supports that are available to babies and young children with developmental delays and disabilities and their families. And it may include support for speech, for their movement, or other type of supports based on the needs of each individual child and family. So it could be very different for every child, every family. But it does have a significant impact on a child's ability to learn in the future for acquiring new skills and overcoming challenges. And it really can increase their future success in school and in life. Programs for early intervention are available in every state and territory. These are publicly funded programs that provide services for free or at a reduced cost for any child who's found eligible. And so early start services for children is for children birth to 3 years old with disabilities, delays, or at risk, and also includes family supports. Okay, and so let's see with a cute video about a family story. It's really shua. I went to the wrong link. I should click on Max. Tell me if you can see and hear the video okay.
Yep, all
Oh,
good.
that's great.
Max is a happy baby. But Max's parents are concerned about how their baby is growing and learning. They've searched online and talked to Max's doctor, but they still wonder if Max is progressing like other kids the same age. A friend tells them about California's Early Start program, which provides free supports and services to babies and toddlers with delays and disabilities and their families. A staff member there listens to the parents' concerns, provides information, and asks questions about Max. The family agrees to meet with their own Early Start service coordinator. The service coordinator arranges for some specialists to gather information about how Max is learning and growing. This is called an assessment. Max's parents like this idea, and they sign a form agreeing to the assessment. During the next few weeks, the specialists observe the family and Max playing, having snacks, getting dressed, and reading. They ask questions about Max and really listen to the family's concerns and priorities for Max. They also consider other information, like doctor's reports about Max. Max's parents receive the assessment results, and Max is eligible for Early Start. Then they get to talk to the whole team, which includes Max's parents, the service coordinator, the assessment specialist, and anyone else the family wants to invite. Together, the team decides if services are needed to support Max's development. Then they help write an individualized family service plan outlining those services. And all this happens within 45 days of referral to the local Early Start agency. The Family Services Coordinator begins to arrange Early Start services for Max, and the family gets the help they've been hoping for. Today, Max is a happy toddler, and Max's parents are confident they have the support and services to help Max thrive. If you have questions or concerns about your baby or toddler's growth and learning, call 1-800-515-BABY and get connected with free resources near you.
So that is the story of Max. I think it tells, oh, and it wants to go again. I love it. It's really cute and goes over, the early intervention program for families, super clear. We'll go over step by step right now, but I think it's important to dissect every piece of it and families to learn their rights. So as you heard, the early intervention program for infants and toddlers with disabilities is under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and which was enacted in 1986, not too long ago. And so this program is California's response to this federal legislation, Early Start here in California, ensuring that those early intervention services for infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families are provided in a coordinated, as you watched, very family-centered system of services that are available to them and are available statewide. So here in our county, these are the two lead agencies for the Early Start program. It's a collaboration between the San Andreas Regional Center and the Santa Clara County Office of Education, as well as a consortium of other community agencies that collaborate with them, but they're the two main lead agencies. And so the Early Start program will serve many different types of special needs and disabilities, including developmental delays, hearing impairments, vision impairments, motor impairments, autism, multiple disabilities, and it builds upon and provides supports and resources to family members and caregivers too, to help the child's learning and development through everyday opportunities. So the program works really to strengthen and support the whole family. They're very aware of diverse backgrounds and really want to strengthen the whole child for their future and for their further growth and further education. And so for this, the participation of all parents and caregivers is fundamental throughout all the steps of the program. Okay. So to reach the program here in Santa Clara County, we have some local numbers. So currently, there's 2 numbers that can be called depending on the areas of need. You can always call one and they will direct you to the right person. I know they're very helpful at the warm line, the intake line, sorry, where they receive the calls. So I understand that for visual, hearing, or orthopedic impairments, you can call this first number. And then if you're concerned about other things not related to visual, hearing, or orthopedic impairments, we're currently referring to the STARS infant program, and the number is there as well. And so once again, when you call, if your child is not yet 3, all you have to say is, I'm concerned about my child's development and I would like to request an evaluation. Can you help me, or let me speak with someone who can? And they will take it from there. Be ready only to share maybe your specific concerns about your child. You can be prepared to be very specific. That would be helpful. You may be asked for some general information about yourself and your child, like their name, your child's name, the age, where you live, just to make sure you're in the right place. You can, as a good practice, to learn good advocacy skills from the beginning and be a good informed parent who participates, write everything down. That's a good practice. Write down who you spoke to, the date, what was said, because you might need this information later, right? Again, if your child is closer to 3, be ready. You can contact your local elementary school, and I'll share right now the cases where you're kind of late to call the Early Start program. And so we can put those referral forms in the chat too. At PHP, we created a hopefully useful video for you. It's a guide to the intake forms that could be, a heavy packet for families to complete. And we understand that families may need help. So we're happy to schedule a clinic or a one-on-one appointment with families, with you, so we can help you with the forms and understand how to do that. You can also watch the video step by step. It provides information on how to complete the forms. Again, these are forms for Santa Clara County. If you need other counties, give us a call and we can help you find those. And so you can also, in the description of the video on YouTube, there is times, so you can skip to the part that you need or pause as you need as well while you fill out the forms if you're doing so on your own. So that's a helpful video there for you. And so as the video of Max was saying, how long will it take? Once those forms are completed, right? The day that you call is 0, and then you'll get the packet. You return them as soon as possible because they'll have some authorization that is needed for the program to reach out to your doctor or to some other records. And if you can provide as much as you can, that really helps that assessment process, which is a 45-day timeline from the day that you call. That should be in progress. You'll also receive, I wanted to mention, an assessment plan to sign, which is a form. And I can show it. Let me see if it shows. It looks like the weather is not doing anything right now. It might be very, very tiny, but this is what that assessment form may look like. It's going to have some describing information on the top. It's going to say what kind of assessment this is. It's going to give you an explanation, and it's going to describe each area of development that's going to be assessed. And it may need others. You can ask as many questions as you want or need during this period as well. It's important that you understand all the assessments that your child is going to go through, and also that you know what kind of information is being collected and that you can participate, right? And also help with information that may be valuable to the team about your child and how he does, at what times he works better, at what times he's more cranky, a place that may be more appropriate. So we can gather, and the team can gather the best information possible about your child's current levels of how he's doing, right? How he's doing in his different areas of development. Once you sign this form, it also gives the team kind of authorization. You give your authorization as a parent for all these professionals to actually work with your child. They're going to start working with your child, even though they're in the assessment period, they're going to be interacting with your young child already. And so that is quite a long period. And we know that it could be, a waiting time that seems forever, but it's 45 days from that initial call to having what we call an eligibility meeting, where you will talk about all the results from those assessments, all the observations. Also, your concerns must be taken in consideration seriously. They will read to you all the assessments, explain them to you. If you have any questions, this is the time to ask. And they will assign you a service coordinator at that time if your child is found eligible for the Early Start program. And together with the team, you and that group of professionals will create an individualized family service plan for your child. And that'll be, a plan with outcomes and goals to work on with your child and with you, to complete and to be reviewed quarterly, every 6 months, and then annually as well. So there'll be a lot of meetings and opportunities to show your child's progress with the interventions. And so, as I said, late referrals, if a child is 2 years and 9 months, 34 months of age or older, then it's too late to kind of do all the work for the Early Start program according to the timeline. And they will be turning 3 very soon and need to be referred to the local education agency. That's what we call your local school district of residence, and maybe also to the San Andreas Regional Center. So you may need to call those 2 places to see if your child may receive services from your school district and also from the regional center. May not be enough time to receive early intervention through the Early Start program. Okay. And so while you wait, those 45 days can feel forever, right? And then sometimes services from your health insurance or others may take sometimes longer. We know that there is long wait lines sometimes for some services to get started. But once you're in there, that's good to know that you are doing the right thing. You've taken the right steps, and now you're just kind of waiting for that response. And there's a lot of things that you can do at home and while you wait, right? So we encourage you to keep on learning with your child and supporting at home, right? Do whatever you can. Keep observing your child and making notes that may be helpful for the therapist or the early intervention providers that you will work with very soon. And also, kids grow so fast at this age, so it's great to keep track of what they're doing. So you can take pictures or take videos now that everybody has a phone at hand to share with your team, your child's development or your concerns as well, right? You may not do it or do what you are observing in the moment the specialist is there, but you can take a picture or a video. And so you can use the milestones tracker as well and keep track of information there, whatever works for you. So we know that we have to wait, but these are just some useful tips. Make the most of play and social opportunities. Interaction with others is very important as much as possible. Read books, sing songs, play with your child with toys that you have available, crafts, cooking, chores, play outside, go to the park. All of those play and social opportunities are things that your early interventionists are going to ask you to do anyways. We're going to keep on doing that as parents. We are going to be the main teacher for our child. So keep on doing that. They're going to give us some tips, of course, some therapeutic interventions, some evidence-based interventions for those special needs, but those connections with your child are going to be very important. And also for language, I just say talk, 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 and talk all the time. Model language for your child. Seek those rich language environments. Label everything, point at things, tell stories about anything, make comments while you're driving. I know my kiddo wasn't talking, but he was labeling all the cars while we were driving. He knew all the brands of the cars. And, interesting enough, that was good information for his later autism diagnosis. So all that is important. So you may seem like your child is not always listening or, attending, but you may be surprised that they are listening and hearing more than you think. So keep on trying. Don't give up. Those also for their social and emotional development and their mental health, it's very, very important. So I'll show you some videos on our next slide that we created that may offer you some more like specific tips on how to help when there's a language delay or difficulty learning, and also reading. Reading is very important for future learning. So seek age-appropriate books. We all have those around, or if not, if your child is a chewer or a biter, you may not want to give him your favorite fancy paintings book. You may want to offer him something made out of cloth or a recyclable magazine that you could make stories from. Use your imagination. Visit the local library if you can. There's lots of opportunity there. Sometimes they're even gifting out books, so you can take advantage of that. They also have story times at the library, and those are really great. I know San Jose, Santa Clara has inclusive story time for our kids. So we'll post those out on our newsletter all the time because we really love those spaces that are very inclusive of children with special needs. So read, read, read. If attention is an issue for reading, I know it was for my kiddo when he was little, it's still give it a try on making it a routine, and eventually it becomes part of the routine, and they will listen more than you think. Point out to those letters as you're reading as well. Make it a game. We would, because he's very hyperactive, we would go under our sheets with a flashlight, and he found that the best fun activity to do at night. So we would just cover ourselves in the dark and read with a flashlight. So it was nothing else he could see but our book, which was a really good way to encourage reading and attend to the book. And so again, it may look different if your child has developmental challenges, but those areas of development and learning, are still great to keep up with and, do more of it all the time. This waiting time may also be a good time to reach out for support. So reach out to your local family resource center. PHP is here. You're not alone. Visit us, call us. If you don't live in Santa Clara County, again, reach out to your local family resource center, First 5 program, childcare, your library programs, and warm lines, and we're here for you, okay? And this is another series of videos that we created at PHP to support you during the time when you're waiting. It's a great time to give them a try. So you can find them on our e-learning library. We called it the Get an Early Start video series. And it provides you some really good tips on what to do when there's a language delay or a literacy delay. And also 2 of those videos are about your rights, like this presentation, our early intervention, and on the transition process at age 3. And each video comes with a page of resources and links to a lot of more information that's useful and free to download as well. So you can learn a lot from there too. It guides you through, how to use a picture system, for communication and things like that may also be helpful, and that you'll learn a lot more with your early intervention teams soon, but you can get started on learning a lot from videos and online learning. Any questions? I don't see anything popping up on my side, but do let me know. Okay.
I don't see questions in the chat.
Thank you.
But probably they can raise their hand or.
Sounds great. Thank you. The sound seems to be okay, right? We're still good?
Yes,
Okay.
everything's good.
Awesome. Okay. So just to go over it one more time, who qualifies for early start services? We mentioned that it was infants and toddlers from age 0 to 36 months or 3, right? Who have a documented diagnosis or delay, and they meet some of the criteria. So there is some specific criteria to qualify. And so they should be delayed in one or more areas of what is called cognitive, communication, social and emotional, adaptive, or physical and motor development, which includes vision and hearing, or have an established risk condition of I guess, a diagnosis, to say it in short words, with a high probability of resulting in delayed development. So something happened early on that we know is there and is going to have an impact in their development, or they are considered to be high risk of having a substantial developmental disability due to a combination of what they call biomedical risk factors. I'm reading these long words, they're even hard for me, of which are diagnosed by qualified personnel. So that is, sorry, the case of a diagnosis. It's a mouthful. So DDS did create, and I wanted to add it here for you, a step-by-step information page where you can, if I click on here, we can take a look at it, of frequently asked questions. That's where I got the story of Max from. And then you can find here the early start, frequently asked questions, who is eligible, what services are available, and it goes through all the steps as well. So it's all there for you to review again, in anytime you need. You can also call us and we can go over it with you if you have any concern. So that's somebody coming in. Okay, so early intervention services are multi-agency coordinated, like I mentioned before, and at no cost to families. And they must be offered in the natural environment, which is commonly the home of a little baby, 0 to before 3, but wherever that natural environment is for the child. And there should be that plan, right? That individualized plan created for each child and family as a review. And so that plan,
Rosanna,
yeah.
you're still on the DDS website screen.
Sorry, I needed to cough too. Now, is it okay? Did it advance for all of you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. I was just going over the overview of what the program should cover and the child and where. So the services should be delivered in the most natural environment for the baby and your family. As we said, it should the IFSP, or the Individualized Family Service Plan, should be created in at when that initial IEP at the 45 days of the referral. It should be focused on the strengths of your child and family-centered, developed by the team, reviewed quarterly at every 6 months, and updated yearly or as needed. So if you ever need to check in with the team or need to update his goals or feel like anything on the individual program needs to be reviewed, call your team and ask for a session or a meeting to talk about any of those changes or your concerns. So you can have a meeting whenever you feel you have concerns or anything is needed. And also every individualized family service plan should include a transition to school services before the age of 3. So that is part of the IFSP, helping all families be ready for when their child turns 3 and has to move on to preschool services or has made great progress, right? So there's a couple of options that we'll go through when a child turns 3. So what could be written into an individualized family service plan? This is not exhaustive, but it's just some examples of services that a child that will help a child grow in his or her areas of need. And remember, they're individualized. Every baby is different, and so it might look different. But this is just a list of possible services that may be offered through an IFSP. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about who pays, because I know that question comes up with a lot of families of who pays for all this, right? It seems like quite extensive. So the early start, should cover services if it's a financial burden for families. So let the team know early. There is, when they have the meeting with you, they'll let you know to provide information on your, insurance. In California, it is open to allow family cost share. So they will make use of your health insurance for speech services, behavior or ABA therapy, OT, or physical therapy. Those intensive medical services, there'll be a review of your income, and then they will tell you what your share of cost is for those services. If it's a financial burden, again, let the team know. You will provide information to them, and they will let you know from there what can be done. If those, we do not want kids to not have services if they're not able to pay, or if those co-payments sometimes are super, super high, we want kids to yes, go and get their services that are recommended. So talk to your team early about that. I believe they should go over this with every family at the IFSP meeting, at the initial IFSP meeting. And if you have questions, all questions are good. Just go ahead and ask them what to do if it's a financial burden for you. Okay. And so these are just some other agencies that you may hear of and may be around and involved. CCS, or California Children's Services. If you qualify, you may want to connect and see if you qualify. If your child has a medical condition that requires very specialized medical interventions or services. Sometimes families are not aware that they are already covered by CCS because their child has been in the NICU or referred to a specialist, but it is CCS who's covering those very specialized services. So they're there as well. Of course, we mentioned the County Office of Education and San Andreas Regional Center here in Santa Clara County. First Five California is available for support. They have also family resource centers. They're not disability specific, but they are all very welcoming and inclusive, and they're early care providers offer a lot of programs for families. They do gardening. I even heard some centers do Zumba, and provide some childcare as well. So reach out to your First Five program and see what they have to offer. Of course, insurance covered services, like I mentioned, and then there is the in-home supported services and supplementary supplementary security income, or SSI, for those families who are due to their income may qualify for some support or need some intensive support at home. Our PHP resource specialists can help you understand all these pieces that may be available to your family. I also wanted to show you to your Parents' Right booklet. So if you are a family in early start or just starting, the program will provide you this booklet or a copy of your rights, most very likely early on. And so this booklet contains all about the Early Start program and your rights as a family, all about the IFSP meeting. And then you'll also be provided like a short version, which comes like in a 2-page flyer. It's much easier to understand, which is a short version of your parent rights. So, you have the right to procedural safeguards, which means that you can disagree with some of the decisions and go through a resolution process which is there for you, created for that reason, to be able to solve any issues that may happen. I'll provide you a resource for that as well at the end. So there you have that. I did want to say, I didn't mention that earlier, but you know, all this, the services are also parent choice. So if any time you did not want to participate or don't want your child to participate, you could also opt out of the programs at any time. We all want the early intervention. We know that it's key for kids, so that's rare, but it does happen. So just so you know. Any questions? I do not see the chat now. Without my mic, I had to open the line.
Yeah, we do not have any questions. Anyone who has a question, feel free to put it in the chat.
Okay, great. That's good. We're almost 10 minutes so that we can get through it, and then we can talk at the end too. And so let's see. So as we talked, you know, the early intervention program is a federal program too. It's covered under special education laws and provides guidance, you know, from 0 to 22. And so that law is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Short, we call it IDEA. And so the C comes before B. So Part C covers the early intervention 0 to 3. And Part B is the covers ages 0 to 22 and all the individualized education programs. And so at age 2.6, there's the transition support, right? And services may be offered also through the IFSP to children and their families to support them in that transition. So I don't know, things like visiting the preschool where they're going to go, talking to the teachers, making maybe a storybook, right, to support the child in with behavior or with the transition for getting on the bus, for example. That was a hard one for my son, getting on the bus and staying on the bus or keeping the buckle on the bus. So we created a social story for him, and we went over it, you know, for some time. So he was ready to transition and start his preschool program exactly at age 3. So that's also something that may come as a surprise. Your son or daughter may start services with the school district as soon as they turn 3, like the next day of Monday after they turn 3, and it was their birthday. So it comes pretty quickly. So that's why it's planned to happen early and provide supports for the child and the family to make that transition as smooth as possible. And that's a required piece that IDEA put in there, that every early intervention, the IFSP, has that transition piece as part of it. Okay. So at 36 months, what happens? And I'm just going to go over this pretty quick. So at 36 months, any of these 3 things may happen. Your toddler may be found eligible for continuing with regional center services and also for special education through the school. Or 2, maybe they're found not eligible for continuing with regional center services, but yes, for special education services through the school. Or 3, you know, early intervention worked and they have met their developmental goals and closed the gaps, and they may not be found eligible for regional center or special education services. But, you know, maybe later on we can come back also to if there's still concerns. It doesn't mean that they don't have a special need anymore. It just means that they are functioning at a level of their age, of their peers, and they can access their education, maybe with some supports of a 504 plan or any regular education supports in their school. And so those are the 3 possibilities at 36 months. And so what is what is continuing with regional center services? So if a child is found to need to require more supports after 3, they can become clients of the regional center, and they will have what is called an IPP, an individualized program plan. And so these are the criteria to qualify under the Lanterman Act. And it's intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism, and disorders similar to intellectual disabilities and disorders, requiring treatment similar to intellectual disability, and that the disability imposes significant functional limitations in 3 or more of the following areas of major life activity, which can be any of these listed here: self-care, receptive and expressive language, learning, mobility, self-direction, capacity for independent living, or economic self-sufficiency. So for regional center services, these will stay with your child along their life. During school age, you probably will not see a lot of the regional center unless needed. They will be we hear the phrase, the payers of last resort. So the school system, for school age children is really who is in charge of the majority of the services. Your kids are in school for a long period of the day during many years. And so they will be providing the supports in the school. And you will have a service coordinator assigned to you and to your family who will check in with you every year or as needed. You may reach out to them for any questions as well. They very often are really good support for IEP meetings with your school. They know your child. If your child went through early intervention, they may have your records, and they have their IPP, so you can reach out to them for support as well. And some families receive respite care, which is some hours of support so you can take a shower. Pretty much, it's for you to be able to have somebody there so you can have some respite, so you can have some breaks. And so as needed, the regional center can cover if you have denials of services in other places, but we are payer of last resort. So your child may continue with an IPP and school. 2, your child may only qualify for an IEP. And so that would be services through school from age 3 to 22, or it's graduation from high school or age 22. So if your child is able to graduate from high school with a regular high school diploma, that's when the school's supports end, or they can stay to services for adults after high school until age 22. And so to qualify for special education through schools, your child must qualify by having a condition that adversely affects their educational performance. And this is different also for the IFSP. It may be different than their medical diagnosis, right? So the schools have educational categories and do their own assessments. So the information, of course, from medical evaluations or diagnosis is very important and shouldn't be like way different, of course, than what the school is assessing, but it may be a little different. The school will do their own evaluations and assessments and determine if a child qualifies under any of these 13. They have 13 classifications for special education, in a nutshell. And so this is just a cool little graph of tools that address student learning in schools. So as you see, all students is the big circle. And there are interventions for all students that are considered general education interventions that all teachers use and may know of, and may use to support a child in the classroom or in school. And then they can also create SSTs, or student study teams, when a child is falling behind and needs a little bit of extra support to work with the family. And then there's also section 504, which is a plan of accommodations for children, and maybe a child or a young child can also, have 504 accommodations. An IFSP or an IEP is also a 504. So that means, they have significant needs and require accommodations, which could be, in the classroom, anything from a special seat, a cushion, something that helps them with attention, extra time for tests, extra time to transition from one classroom to another, anything that helps them have access to the education, and it would kind of level the field for them with their peers. So that's what a 504 kind of plan would provide for a kiddo at school. And then there's IDEA programs, which would be the IEP, which would be qualifying under any of those 13 categories and having an individualized education program, or IEP. So it's less, right? It's a smaller amount of students who have an IEP. And then our option number 3 was, everything is looking good and we are exited out of services because there was no longer, the assessments determined that there was no longer any qualifying delays. So early intervention worked. And then if delays are noted later, of course, we can always reconnect with the school district or with the regional center, maybe. And then also, as I mentioned before, you have choices of your own of childcare or preschools, and you may find some childcare options or some preschools that are inclusive of children with special needs and may offer supports and inclusion for your child. So we're at the time, so I'll share the slides with you. I included some of those resources for childcare. There is the Santa Clara County Childcare and Referral Agency, which is has a very cool website now and helps you find a childcare. It even has a map, and they have a warm line that helps families find. And so here are the options for different ages for childcare. I also wanted to include the resource for Head Starts and early Head Starts. We know that 10% of enrollment is designated for children with IFSPs or IEPs. And so those are always a good option for extending your child's day or childcare needs for children with special needs. There's long wait lines, I know, but it's always good to go early and see if you can find a spot. It's possible. I wanted to include in the resources too, a quick guide for affordable childcare in California from the Child Care Law Center, which is very helpful and explains all those possible options to get support for childcare. And our friends at the Warm Line, who are also available to you, they have a specialist in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. Their services are free, and they provide also information and referrals for children of all ages with disabilities. And they have a really cool tools, like visual support program, and they can create personalized tools for families. So if a family is struggling with, communication or behavior, they can create a personalized social story for your child. And they're really creative, and they have a ton of them already made, but they can also create one for families that's individualized. I'll leave that to you, as well as a link to your procedural safeguards. So you can, if you need, this slide has movement. So what to do if you have disagreements, right? There's some steps to follow, right? Requesting a meeting. We always, as good practice, say, let's try to resolve at the lower level, which means with the person you're in contact first, your teacher, your early interventionist, try having a conversation, and then go up the ladder from there if you're not able to solve any disagreements. Why? I always tell families this is important because your child will get supports faster if you solve the issue faster, right? So we want to have good communication with our team, keep it professional, We're going to be working together for a long time. So having good connections, collaborating, volunteering, keeping yourself involved is always a good practice. And if things don't work, then you go up the ladder, and these are your rights to request resolution, right? So I wanted to leave that for you all there. And there's a great resource, CADRE, which is the Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution and Special Education, which now has some great videos for families and some checklists and resources to help us understand the resolution process if needed. And that takes us to the end of our brief presentation on early intervention